are now entering the horror sanctum.
Hello and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum. I'm Jay, along with John and TJ, and this week we're joined by Richard Ewell, co-owner of Madcap 3 Entertainment and the host of another horror-themed podcast, Night of the Nerdy Laser podcast. Richard, welcome to the Sanctum.
Hey, thanks for having me here, guys. I really appreciate the offer, and can't wait to talk about all things horror.
Yes, sir. Now, aside from all that you do, you're also one of the organizers of Frankencon from last year, and then this year's Bride of Frankencon, which is a local horror-centered convention in Alcoa, Tennessee, which is just outside of Knoxville.
Yeah.
This year's con is the weekend of June 9th and 10th, and it's going to be held at the Hilton Knoxville Airport. This year's guests, it's a stacked lineup for sure, especially if you're a true horror fan. I won't name them all, but we have former guests of ours. Honey Gregory will be there. Honey the Mail Girl, Mick Strong. Future guest Brian Bremer is going to be there. Felissa Rose, Banjo Boy from Deliverance, CJ Graham from Friday the 13th series, Tom Matthews from Friday the 13th, and Return of the Living Dead. The one that piqued my interest the most is Frank Henenlotter. I was excited to see his name pop up, and so many more. So like I said, very, very stacked lineup this year. So Richard, let's just dive right in. And the first question I have for you is what got you into horror originally?
I love movies, so that's usually my general answer is like movies were my life from early on. And when I was a teenager, video stores were a popping, and a video down the street here, and Full Moon Pictures was like I loved it. I love Dancers. I love Puppet Master. Puppet Master 3 is one of my favorite movies. But I didn't grow up I didn't see Evil Dead when I was a teenager. I remember I was very young. My brother was 10 years older than me. So he was watching Nightmare on Elm Street 3. That was probably the first one I saw. But I mean, I say saw, but not really, because I just, covered my eyes, ran out of the room. I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't much care for it. But, but horror for me really started around Devil's Rejects. Like, even though I don't consider Devil's Rejects a horror movie, it got me into the exploitation side of like the grungier side of things, like these horrific things are happening. It's like not like a jump out and scare you kind of horror. It's more like just a horrific side of humanity. And that really captivated me. And then I dived into like foreign films around that time, like Inside and Audition and Cold Prey. And Martyrs, to this day, Martyrs is one of those films that it scarred me. Like for 6 months, like it really affected me. I love the movie. But it's not one that I'm like everybody should see Martyrs.
No, not.
But I've also seen a Serbian film, so I'm kind of a sicko like that. But horror, just in general, is just one of those genres that I can watch, and I mean, even and it just takes, even if it's something based in reality, it sort of always takes me out of reality. I mean, the things are so horrific sometimes that our minds as humans can't process it. So we think it's fiction, even though these things do actually happen. It's just it's just one of those things where it fascinates me, like and I love the silly side of horror. I mean, that's why I love. I mean, Child's Play 2 is one of my favorite movies. Chucky is one of my favorite villains. Um, yeah, so I just and then recently, about I guess it was about 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, I started doing a podcast called the Assignment Horror Podcast, where it was three of my older friends that are like 10 or 15 years older than me. And they would assign me a movie to watch that I had never seen, a horror movie to watch. And so I watched a lot of movies that way. And then now, we just, Nerdy Laser was kind of my podcast before about pop culture. And now Night of Nerdy Laser is a horror based podcast. And we just watch movies that a lot of them I haven't seen. I haven't seen a lot of the classics. So it's a good way for me to pick up on that.
Yeah, that's you're our version of Kellen, because Kellen's the host that's not with us tonight, but that's the same way. I feel like most of the movies we pick, he hasn't seen, which makes it fun too, because that's part of the horror too. Is I like to share, like, if I found something fascinating or cringy or scary, I'm like, I want to share that with other people. So we do that with him on a weekly basis almost.
Yeah, they made me watch some awful things on the Assignment Horror Podcast. Things like what was that one? The God of Indian Flats, I think it's called. What is it? It's a terrible movie.
Yukon Flats, the giant beast of Yukon
Beast
Flats.
of Yukon Flats, yeah.
Oh God, it's awful.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's
and then the Loch Ness Horror, I think, is another. It was really bad. Me and my buddy, we just did tonight Lair of the White Worm, which it's one of those like good bad. I think I think I like it. I own it, so I must like it in some way. But it's. Yeah, I love watching like the crazy, crappy movies and the good, really good movies. And I love watching like movies that I didn't like at first. Like we did Rawhead Rex on my older podcast, and I hated that movie. I mean, I hated it. And we did it I rewatched it and did it again. And I love it. I thought it was great. I don't know why. I mean, it's goofy. I mean, I don't know why the monster is cross-eyed at times, but it's a great monster flick. Like, it's got some good gore in it.
Part about doing this that's fun too is we watch movies that we either haven't seen in years, had a different opinion on. Like, there's been movies we've done. I mean, we're like 20 something episodes in. There's movies I haven't seen in years that I frowned upon then and go back and watch them. You know what? This is actually a really good movie. Like, you have a different perspective as you age and mature.
Well, and I always feel like the first time you see a movie, you may think you're going in to see one thing and you see another thing, so it takes you off balance. So you're like, that sucked. But in reality, it's just not what you thought it was going to be. So then when you watch it again, you know what it's going to be, so you can process it a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, when I was watching movies when I was younger, because I was a young horror cinephile out there, started young. There was I like it or I hate it, and not a lot of gray area in between. Now I can appreciate that, this is actually a good movie. Some movies, it's just not for me. I'm not the audience for this. But that don't mean
it's like, it's like when I watched Seth Rogen's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle trailer. I was like, this is probably a fine movie, but it's not mine.
So, yeah. Hashtag not my turtles, right?
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to what you mean about like being a sort of a slow burn horror fan in a sense, because growing up, like, I was a horror fan, but I was kind of a movie fan, film fan. And I still think that way. Like, I hate, sometimes it's weird to say, but like, I can't stand the term like horror fan only, because it's so isolated, because like film is so versatile. It can be so many things. Sometimes it puts us in boxes, but it is an interesting thing, like how the community brings so many people together, and the way we look at it, right? So
Yeah, I'll watch anything. I will literally watch any movie. Like I just don't I don't care. Like I may not like it, but I mean my wife, she hates horror movies, so we don't watch them together. But like
I think we're all
she
in.
loved.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're all in
Yeah,
that
we're
crew.
all in that boat
Oh,
together.
that's good.
Right,
Oh,
for
we need a
sure.
club. We need a T-shirt. Yeah, because
Yeah.
most of my friends like their wives love horror, but yeah, yeah, she'll watch Hallmark movies. That's her jam, and I'll watch those sometimes, not all the
Yeah.
time. But I'll pick like 2 Christmas movies a year, and I'll watch them.
Yeah, that's about
And I'll
all I can
usually like
tolerate.
them. And I'll usually like them though. I try to pick the ones that are more geared like it's a toy shop and it's a toy maker or something.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Richard, how does one come to create a horror convention? I know we all like horror to varying degrees. We obviously have this horror podcast. It sounds like you were already doing horror themed podcast already, but how do you make the leap to I want to spearhead this massive undertaking to create an entire convention and then bring it back as a yearly thing now?
Well, first off, I never said something that hefty. Like I would have, I go into stuff blind, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not like, well, convention fan too. So I think my first convention was around 99, 2000. Back in the days when there were Polaroids and autographs were $20, maybe with a selfie, which the selfie was a Polaroid that they would often sign too. So you would get that
Mhm.
and a picture signed,
Yeah, on
you
the
know, and
white parts, right?
yeah, on the white
Yeah.
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great. I still have a Rob Van Dam picture like that. Like
Oh
I
wow.
love,
Okay.
yeah, I love those. So I mean, I've been to most of like some of the old school heavy hitters I've been to. I haven't been to like Monster Mania or anything like that, but like I've been to a San Diego Comic Con back in 2005. I've been to Chiller Theater. I've been to MegaCon, Dragon Con. Fanboy Expo is a pretty big one here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and and I've gone to a lot of conventions, and I love them. I feel at home there, and I just really like that atmosphere, and I like that all of them are kind of different, so they all offer something a little different. Um, so really, this is my friend Matt's fault because we were doing Night of the Nerdy Laser, and Matt always he thinks big. He's our big thinker, which is always good to have somebody like that. And so he just contacted Felissa Rose's agent one day and was like, "Hey, would Felissa be interested in doing a an event here in our town?" And this was like COVID was still happening. Um, I can't even remember what year this was. This would have been 2001. So so COVID was still kind of around then, and but masks were starting to like drop. I think at that point, or maybe they were still around. It all blurred. This whole 4 years have been a blur to me. But anyway, so the point was we did this thing called an evening with Felissa Rose, and we put this together. We had it at this event. I mean, it's a pub down the street called the Bird and the Book, and it holds like 100 people. So we sold tickets to this. Like I can't remember. I think the tickets were like $40 or $20 or something like that to get in and to meet Felissa, and then we watched the movie. Um, and we were going to do trivia and all this. Well, this thing sold out, and we had no idea. I mean, we had no idea what we were doing. Like, I mean, we were just putting this event on, and we didn't know if anybody would show up. And Felissa was great, and I mean, her fans flocked to her. So, like I said, it sold out, and I think it was about 2 weeks before that, or maybe a month before that. I was like, we should do this again. And I was like, we should do like a Friday. We should do like a J, like, and I had no idea how to do any of this.
Mhm.
So I was like, we should do another unevening with, but do it on Friday the 13th and have some Jasons, because that's easy to do. And so um, he was like, I mean, he's the big thinker, so he's like, yeah, let's do it, let's go. And we offered our buddy from the Spooky Dudes podcast, Corey Keelan. We kind of dragged him into this whole thing too, and so the point is we tried to put on another evening with, but it was just really impossible. So
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, let's just have a few vendors and all this, and then it just basically spiraled into Frankencon. I mean, I came up with a name like because we wanted something like horror themed, but not locked into horror. Like, I mean, I'm goofy anyway. Like Night of the Nerdy Laser, nobody knows what it is, but it's kind of my own inside joke and
Mhm.
whatever. And so Frankencon, it just sounded cool. It rolled off the tongue, and they liked it, so we did that, and then it all just kind of spiraled a little bit out of control as far as like we went from a few vendors to 40 and a few guests to like 12, and we had this at the Hilton up at the Knoxville Airport, which is in Alcoa, Tennessee, which is weird. And they were amazing to us, still are. As far as I'm concerned, I don't ever want to have Frankencon really anywhere else. I love the venue. I love a hotel convention. They don't. I mean, they still exist, but they're certainly fewer far between. And oftentimes, when a place starts in a hotel, they grow big and they get out, and go to a convention center. That's not really our plan. I mean, we want to grow. I mean, that's obvious, but we can grow pretty big in this hotel. So in a nutshell, that's it. I didn't really mean to do it. It just all kind of started happening, and just the more we talked, and the more things happened, and it just was what it was. I mean, Corey was a huge Joe Bob and Darcy fan, so he was like, we need to contact them first. So we did, and they agreed. And so they were the first guests we had. And then so at the evening with Felissa, and I told them we need to video this, and nobody took video of this. It still makes me mad because I was doing something else and I couldn't take video. But at the end of Felissa Rose, Matt put together like a teaser trailer, and because nobody knew what Frank. I mean, at this point, we had not said anything about it. Because this was, I think, in June, and the show wasn't going to be till the following May. And so he did a teaser trailer, and it was like, and guess who's coming to town? And then the Joe Bob trailer, the Last Drive-In trailer started, and people went crazy. And it was a really cool feeling, and it's just, and last year was amazing.
Nice. Yeah, I wondered, Tennessee is an interesting place because I'm so glad that you all are doing this, like Frankencon, and coming back and doing it again, because I know that there are some cons in Tennessee, but it's weird that Tennessee has always, for a long time, was behind the eight ball on this. Kentucky, you had Scarefest, Georgia, you had Days of the Dead. It's kind of strange that Tennessee, it took so long, because you would think like with Nashville and Knoxville, Memphis, like in the height of the con days, that would have come. But is it odd to you that it took so long I mean, you guys are doing it now, but that it took this long to get to this point?
Maybe. I mean, Fanboy Expo has been around for a while, and that is a huge convention. So it's hard to, like, you don't ever want to be up against it, I mean, or even near it or whatever, like, I mean, that's just a massive convention. They bring in massive guests, and they've been around forever, and they're great people, by the way.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of cons, to come to Knoxville, they're like scared to, they don't want to because of Fanboy. But then, there's a convention called CreepyCon, and I think it's in its fifth year this year.
Mhm.
I think they did four. They were in their fourth year last year, and they're a horror convention, like a. But they do some really cool stuff with like sideshow acts and like a Halloween con. You know, like they kind of explore more of that, and that's really cool. I hope to go this year. I've never been. It just has never worked out, but I'm planning on going this year. So it's a little weird, but then not. But cons are ever since COVID, like everybody wants to put on a con, and I feel like there's a con, and I mean that was kind of including us. I mean, I'm not saying anything about anybody else, but you know, I but I find it weird because I mean, I think if people are like, let's put on a con and make a bunch of money, it's like that's not really how that works. Because
No, no.
and I can speak from experience. So, that's the other thing is like oftentimes businesses and things that just take time to grow and to get your name out there and get more people and stuff. I mean, this year we're bigger than last year, and we've got a bigger audience this year. We're doing a radio ad locally, which last year we didn't have a lot of locals because we didn't know how to advertise to the locals as
Mhm.
much. But we're doing a radio ad this year, which we're really excited about and hope that gets the word out. A lot of our people were out of state, to be honest. Like probably about 70% of the crowd last year was out of state,
Wow.
Wow.
or
Yeah.
at least out of the area. We had some Nashville people that come down, but most of them weren't local.
Yeah, the guest list is what's amazing to me. Like when I saw you all were getting Billy Redden from Deliverance, I was like, man, that's so awesome. And like it's just it's really interesting the cons. You'll see the guest at a lot of the popular cons, and Frankencon, it's kind of like second year, you're kind of, well, at least I'm coming to expect like you're gonna see some unique guests at these. So I just want to say that's awesome that you guys are doing that because I think cons need to do that more, kind of go outside of the box with the guest list.
Well, we appreciate that. I mean, that is kind. I mean, although the harder you go outside the box, the more everybody else kind of goes outside the box too. So, I mean, we try to be unique and we try to be a little different. I mean, sometimes we're not as I mean, we still have guests that people know and guests that you can see at other horror cons, but may not be able to get to those. So we bring those guests here.
Mhm.
But we like the grimier, grungier side of horror, and that's I mean that's I mean if you look at we got Frank Henenlotter, he directed Basket Case, Frankenhooker, and Brain Damage. We've got Patty Mullen from Frankenhooker, and
Mhm.
we've got Kevin Van Hentenryck from Basket Case. So, and I mean, if we could, I'd try to get more from his movies, but we're just at a point where we can't. But yeah, and we got James O'Barr. He's one that I don't see at a lot of places, and especially horror cons. But The Crow is arguably a horror movie. I mean, at least adjacent. I mean, so yeah, we try to do different things, or at least we try to make an environment that we would want to hang out in. And I
Right.
do feel like that is a different environment than some of the other cons. Being in a hotel, it's just like you can. It's just cooler, You can ride a hotel. You could get in an elevator with one of the stars. I mean, there's just a lot more that can happen at a hotel convention that with we call it the Franken family, like and it really and really that it sounds cheesy and it sounds like be a part of the Franken family, but it really is organic, and it came out last year. And I mean, the con was just amazing. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. People were crying at the end, like people were so happy that this happened, and like everybody left with like a new friend, and it's
Mhm.
just a really, really, really unique experience that I'm sure we won't be able to duplicate again this year, but we'll try. I mean, we will try with the atmosphere, but that I joke around with the guys, and I'm like, I kind of wish it failed a little bit last year, just so the expectations wouldn't be so high. Because I feel like the
Right.
expectations are very high on us. Even though last year was not perfect by any means, we did have some hiccups and some major ones at that. But it happens to every con. I mean, you can't avoid it. I mean, you're dealing with so many different people, different schedules, different careers, and just anything can happen. And that's what I hope fans start to understand, and not get mad at us when Joe Bob backs out.
Yeah, man.
Because that's what happened this year. We had Joe
sure.
Bob, and then a work conflict came up, and him and Darcy had to cancel. And it was a bummer. I mean, in the
But that happens at literally every con.
it happens at every convention, and
For sure.
it happens all the time. But what fans don't understand is oftentimes, and not just for like the I mean, if you're a con runner, I mean, I feel like a lot of the people that I know that run cons, they truly do love the genre. They love the gas. And so it's oftentimes the runners are just as disappointed as you are. Maybe some of that is because of the backlash they may receive, but oftentimes it's just they're sad they're not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Bob's postponed a few other things, so I don't know if you've watched the new season of The Last Drive-In, but I feel like he's got a hip issue or a knee issue. The way he was walking, I mean, he might have health issues.
Well, he is 70 now,
That's
it
true.
starts to
That's the
set
other
in.
thing, right? Yeah, that's the other thing, right? I mean, a lot of these actors and celebrities that we love, they're aging like we are, So and oftentimes, if these are people that we saw when we were growing up, they're probably much older than we are. So, I mean, that stuff happens, and we just do the best. You do the best you can as you recover. It's harder for us as a smaller con because we don't have like 40 guests. We have 20 guests, so we don't have as many, and we don't have like huge super names. I mean, we do like CJ Graham and Felissa, but we don't have a Bruce Campbell or something that like will bring in the like a mass audience. So if we were to lose somebody, it's always detrimental to us.
Sure.
Yeah, I need you to get Barbara Crampton for me. I will pay what it is, however much it costs. I will be there.
It might be harder now. Like she's kind of back, so it's a little harder. But we do have 3 names in particular that we want for the future that I think people would be very happy with. And sometimes you can make that happen, sometimes you can't. I mean, especially when you're dealing with reunions and people that just kind of go together, you have to get them all on the same wavelength, and
the businessman, entrepreneur, possible future con runner, who knows, you never know. And me has a few questions that are just kind of burning. For one, so you kind of chose the name to kind of run with kind of like the old Universal Monsters themes, right? So I'm thinking, okay, so next one's probably like Son of Frankencon. Maybe you get Daughter of Frankencon, but aren't you gonna run out of names by the 5th year?
It's funny because Son of Frankencon is kind of the obvious. Everybody actually thought that would be this year. We kind of want to keep Son for something else, for, in all honesty, for like a smaller event maybe. Just because that would be funny, and maybe you just have a Son of Frankencon every year that's something smaller. But
or you could go the Chucky route and say Seed of Frankencon.
Dr. Frankencon.
Or just go Ghoulies, do like a Frankencon goes to college.
You could have an event at a college. Yeah.
Okay, so like I think about the future. I mean, we never know what's going to happen, but like, so for year 3, I mean, already the name's set. It's none of the ones that you mentioned, and it's probably it makes sense once you hear it. I won't give it away though, because it'll be something special. But for year 4, something the name I picked is completely out of the box. That, I mean, if we do that, I don't know, it might be the end of us. I don't know. because it's wonky. It is sort of like Goes to College, but something a little farther off.
Very cool. So at your cons, do you have like any of the panels and stuff and people leading the panels? Are you like hosting the different people doing Q&As and that kind of thing, or?
Oh yeah. And to get back on the name thing, we can always use Frankencon again and just say it's a remake.
That's true.
Reimagining, a reboot.
Yeah, a reboot of
It's the requel.
Frankencon. Then the next year, yeah, it's a requel. As far as the panel, so like we're podcasters, we've hosted stuff before, and we love doing that stuff. It's very hard to do that and run an event at the same time. Last year, it was 1 day. So last year, so Matt and Corey, they both did panels. I did not last year. I chose not to. This year, I do a panel. I plan on doing the James O'Barr panel, and I plan on doing the Carl York panel. Those are both VIP events, but those are just, two that I feel like I don't want to miss out on.
Yeah.
Carl York, especially, like I love Cannibal Holocaust. I just love what it means to the movie world, to the horror movie world, just everything. It can be a tough watch, and I can't watch that turtle again, but I love the movie. But as far as panels, we have a ton of panels, and we have help. So we try to join up with other podcasters that are friends of ours, and offer them, do you want to do this and this and this? And, some did a little last year, and now they're doing more this year. So one of our podcast friends, Brandon and Fat Tony from Rants from the Black Lodge podcast, they hosted the Brian Bremer panel last year, and then this year they're hosting the VIP screening of Frankenhooker, with live commentary with Patty Mullen. And then they're also doing they're sponsoring Mick Strawn because they're good friends with them, and they're doing a panel with Mick Strawn. So, and then Felissa Rose is doing a VIP Sleepaway Camp screening with commentary. And the guys from the very popular YouTube show We Watched a Movie they're gonna be hosting that with her.
Nice.
So,
I'll watch them.
Yeah. So we bring in other people typically. Corey will do like the film fest. I think some of our horror hosts and Corey and one of our indie guests, Jed Bryan, will do that, and then we're gonna have a costume contest this year, and our friend Eli from Cubster Photography is gonna be doing that. So you just try to people, just surround yourself by people that want you to succeed, and that you can give them a platform to do something that they love as well.
Totally. Well, throwing our name in the hat for next year, whatever that ends up getting called.
Yeah.
So for the film festival, are you doing that with just like pulling down like the projector screen type thing in one of the hotel convention rooms, or like how's that set up?
Yeah, so what's really cool about the Hilton, everything's cool about the Hilton. Like I love this place. It just offers us so much. We don't have to do pipe and drape, so that's why it feels a little different too. Like it's just like tables and people set up, and it's not all fancy, it's just whatever people want to do, and it all just kind of looks like a mishmash of things, but then it all makes sense, and that's what I love about it. But all around the grand ballroom, so last year we had the grand ballroom, and that was it. And this year we have the grand ballroom and the ballroom on the other side, which is about half the size. So around inside both places are screens that line up down the sides. So all day, like you'll see stuff from us, like commercials from our sponsors and like maybe times, and there's spooky music playing. But then we have a panel room that's bigger than last year. It can hold 200 people, so we won't run out of room, hopefully. Or hopefully, I don't know. Sometimes I'm conflicted, but basically they have a screen there that's always there, that they pull down, and it's there all the time. And that's how we show movies, is on their projector and on a screen. um, and we're showing so many movies this year, like it's really crazy. It's really like a movie festival.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Cool.
Before we wrap up, I had one last question. And for you personally, who would be your dream guest? Like, if you could get anybody to come to Dr. Frankencon, Son of Frankencon, Frankencon, whatever you want to call it, who's that one guest that you're just itching to get out there?
I was asked this recently, and I said Brad Dorff, I think.
Okay.
And the voice of Chucky, that's pretty awesome. And then I hung up from that call, and I thought of somebody else, and now, of course, can't think of it. But I mean, I think Brad Dorff would be a good one. I mean, he doesn't go to major conventions that often anyway. I don't see him. I used to see him a lot, but I think as the show's gotten around and stuff, I don't know that he does them that much. But who was that other one? I should really write these down.
Dream
But
book.
I mean, one of those things where I could say like Bruce Campbell or somebody like that, but I mean, I would want it to fit. And not saying that, I mean, it wouldn't be amazing if he was like, I'll come for free. I'll drive down. I'll pay you for me to be there. Of course he would be there. But, in just our world and the way we have to look at things, from a financial view, it's just hard to say a name, a really, really huge name. But I think Brad Dorff's one of those that would be really, that he is a big name, but he's somebody that fits into what we want Frankencon to be known as.
Yeah, that would be a good get. I would love to see him.
Yeah,
him,
totally.
my daughter. Sign them both up. All right, so that's going to do it for this week's episode. Be sure to go over to our YouTube page, subscribe to wherever you're listening to this podcast now, and follow us on Instagram. I don't want to toot my own horn, toot, but our reels are pretty great, and they need more views on them. I bust my ass, and you need to go watch them. Richard, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, man.
For doing a con that we can all appreciate. 80s horror is my jam. So, you're getting right in there for me. Be sure to check out Night of the Nerdy Laser podcast and check out Bride of Frankencon. You can get more info on guests and pricing at frankencontn.com and head out to the convention. I think we're planning on being there. It should be a good time. So, Richard, before we close up, just want you to take a second, tell us the other events that are going on around the convention, any other info you want to share with people.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for having me on. It's been awesome, a lot of fun with you guys. So we have on Thursday the 8th, we actually have an official launch party for Frankencon, for Bride of Frankencon, and that's going to entail Kevin Van Hentenlotter, an acoustic setting. So he's going to play acoustic music for all the attendees. This is a separate ticketed event. The tickets are $20. We only have 30 of those tickets. So if you want to do this event, it's pretty crucial that you buy that ticket as soon as you can. We have an acoustic setting with Kevin Van Hentenryck, like I said, and we also have the greatest title ever for anything. We have Mick Strawn Trivia hosted by Mick Strawn. Yeah. And then we're going to do a showing of Pumpkinhead with a live commentary by Mr. One Brian Bremer. So that's on Thursday night, separate ticketed event, unless you're a volunteer or a super VIP ticket holder, which those are sold out. Friday night, VIP stuff. Saturday night, VIP stuff. Our VIP is off the chain. I mean, we've got commentaries and panels that you can't see sometimes anywhere else. But especially at Frankencon, you have to have that VIP, but you also get a swag bag, you get a lanyard, you get a really cool print that we're going to be debuting by One Man Riot, who will also be in attendance. He's an excellent horror artist. If you haven't seen his stuff, he does blacklight stuff that is insane. But we have world premiere of indie movies. Bobby Knight Jr.'s Grandma will be premiering at Frankencon. That's a general admission ticket, along with the Bad Ben franchise. Nigel Bach will be there, and he's premiering the brand new Bad Ben Alien Agenda, never been seen anywhere else. And that's a world premiere for general admission ticket holders. Also, Debbie Does Demons, which actually just sold out of their slipcover on Vinegar Syndrome,
Right.
will be airing on Saturday night. It's our late show at 10 o'clock in our main room. We'll be showing Unlisted Owner. I mean, so many movies, guys. It's crazy for that. So we're also doing a puppet show on Saturday morning, a horror-inspired puppet show by Felt Nerdy. And just there's so many activities. They're all on the website. Just go there. Follow us on Frankencon. Follow us on Facebook or follow us on Frankencon. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and check us out. And yeah, come on down. I don't know when this is airing, but May 8th is the final day to book your hotel. So you can book your hotel without paying. You know, they don't charge you until you go to the hotel and on the weekend of. So if you want to stay at the hotel, book your hotel now. Go to our website, go to the hotel page, hit book now, and our rates are $125. So I could probably say a few more things, but I think that's everything. Everything else, just go to frankencontn.com, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah. So
Awesome.
go check all that out. Go to the convention if you can. And that's going to be it for this episode. I'm Jay with John, Richard, and TJ. And until next time,
Keep it spooky.